My name is Felicia Ingram. I'm 32. Last Saturday, I stood on my parents' porch in Ridgemont, Ohio, holding a battered suitcase and a story I'd rehearsed on the entire flight from Charlotte. I was about to ring the doorbell when I heard my mother's voice drift through the screen door, talking to the neighbor, Mrs. Patterson. If Felicia's coming, she'd better have her checkbook. Gerald's behind on the mortgage again. I let my hand drop. Just stood there, the August heat pressing into my back, listening to my own mother reduce me to a payment method. And I wasn't even surprised. That's the part that scared me. See, I didn't come home to visit. I came home to lie. To tell my family I'd lost my job, that I was broke, that I had nothing. I wanted to see, just once, if they'd still want me without my money. Before I tell you what happened next, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if this story earns it. Drop your location and local time in the comments. I want to know where you're listening from. Now let me take you back to Ridgemont. The morning everything changed. Ridgemont is the kind of town where the biggest employer packed up and left a decade ago and nobody's recovered since. My father, Gerald Ingram, worked the floor at Henson Manufacturing for 26 years. When it closed, he was 51 with a pension that covered half the mortgage and a pride that wouldn't let him admit the rest. My mother, Donna, spent 20 years as a night shift nurse at St. Mary's before her knees gave out. She quit at 53. Between the two of them, they had just enough to keep the lights on, if nothing ever went wrong. And then there's Brenda, my older sister, 4 years ahead of me, dropped out of community college after one semester. Our parents built her a small addition behind the main house, called it the guest cottage. Brenda's lived in it for 12 years rent-free. She works part-time at a salon in town, maybe 20 hours a week, and spends like she's pulling 40. Nobody ever said a word about it. When I got into Ohio State, half scholarship, half loans, I remember walking into the kitchen with the acceptance letter. My hands were shaking. I'd worked 2 after-school jobs for 3 years to make that application happen. My father looked up from the newspaper, read the letter, set it down. "Good," he said. "That's one less bill." No hug, no congratulations, no photo on the fridge. 2 months later, saw Brenda quit her cashier job at the hardware store. My mother made her favorite pot roast to cheer her up. They watched movies together all weekend. Nobody mentioned it. But I've never forgotten the math. My achievement equaled a reduced expense. Brenda's failure equaled comfort food and quality time. But the thing that haunted me for 14 years wasn't what my father said. It was what my mother didn't. The calls started my first month at a real job. I was 22, fresh out of Ohio State, pulling a junior analyst salary at a mid-size firm in Columbus. $42,000 a year before taxes. I ate ramen 3 nights a week and split a 1-bedroom with a roommate who snored like a diesel engine. My phone rang on a Tuesday night. "Mom." "Sweetie, yes, the electric bill went up again." "No, how was your first week?" "No, are you settling in okay?" I sent $500, and then 500 the next month, and the next, for 10 straight years. In that time, my mother never once opened a call with, "How are you doing?" It was always a number. The water heater, Brenda's car insurance, Gerald's blood pressure medication, which, I later found out, was covered by his pension health plan. When I got into Wharton for my MBA, I called home to tell them. I needed to cut the monthly transfer from 500 to 200 for 2 years while I was in school. My mother's response was to conference in Brenda. "So you're just gonna let us drown?" Brenda said. She was eating chips. I could hear the crunching. I tried one more time, called my father directly, laid out the numbers. It explained that the MBA would triple my earning potential, that I'd make it up later. He listened for about 90 seconds. "Do what you gotta do," he said, and hung up. The next Sunday, my mother called crying. Said the water had been shut off. I wired 300 that night. Months later, Aunt Claire let slip the truth. My monthly 500 wasn't going entirely to bills. Donna had been skimming a portion, handing it to Brenda as spending money. The math I'd been doing for years had never been mine. 3 weeks ago, a Wednesday, 6:40 p.m., my phone lit up with Mom, and something felt different. "Baby, we're having a barbecue this weekend, both days. The whole neighborhood's coming. You should fly in." Her voice was bright. Too bright. My mother doesn't do bright unless there's a number waiting behind it. What's the occasion? I asked. Do I need an occasion to see my own daughter? Yes, historically, yes. The last time I'd been back to Ridgemont was 18 months ago, for what I thought was a casual Sunday dinner. Halfway through the mashed potatoes, my mother turned to me in front of everyone and said, Felicia, Brenda's car payment is past due. Could you help her out? Just this once? Brenda nodded along, fork in hand, like we'd rehearsed it. I paid it. $1,200. Nobody said thank you. So when that Wednesday call came, I made a decision. I'd go home, but I'd bring a different version of myself. One without a title, without a salary, without a checkbook. I rehearsed the story. My company folded. I was out of a job. I had nothing. I wanted to see, just once, clearly, as without any filter, whether they'd still want me sitting at that table if I couldn't pay for the table. Before I booked the flight, I called Aunt Claire. She's my father's younger sister, a high school teacher in Dayton, and the only person in the Ingram family who ever looked at me like I mattered without a dollar sign attached. I told her the plan. She went quiet for a long time. I think you already know the answer, honey, but you need to see it to let go. I booked a Friday morning flight to Columbus, rented the cheapest car on the lot. I didn't know if I was hoping they'd prove me wrong or terrified they'd prove me right. Somewhere over West Virginia, I pull out my phone and open a spreadsheet I've never shown anyone. It's a running tally, every dollar I've sent home since I was 22. I started it as a tax record. At somewhere around year 4, it became something else. A ledger of proof, evidence that I tried. The total sits at $184,600. That's a down payment on a 3-bedroom in Charlotte's Dilworth neighborhood. That's 2 years of maxed-out retirement contributions. That's a life I postponed, one wire transfer at a time. But the financial cost isn't what keeps me awake on cross-country flights. It's the smaller things. I've never once invited a friend to my parents' house. I've never told a colleague where I grew up or what my family is like. At my company's holiday party last December, when my CEO asked if I was heading home for Christmas, I smiled and said, "I'm staying in town this year." I've said that sentence every year since I was 24. There's a habit I can't break. Every Christmas, I buy 2 gift sets for my parents. One from me, and one labeled from Brenda. Because I know Brenda won't buy anything, and I know my mother will cry if the tree looks uneven. So I fix it, quietly, like I've fixed everything else. The flight attendant offers peanuts. I take them. I look out the window at the quilt of green and brown below, and think about what Aunt Claire said. You need to see it to let go. She's right. I've been sending money to a house that erased my bedroom, calling a family that only calls me back when there's a bill due, buying gifts under someone else's name so the illusion holds. Something I don't know yet is waiting for me in Ridgemont, and in 48 hours, it will change everything. The taxi drops me at the curb of 412 Maple Street at 4:15 on a Friday afternoon. I've dressed for the part. Jeans, a plain gray t-shirt, no jewelry. The suitcase is one I found at a thrift store on my way to the airport. Scuffed corners, a broken zipper on the front pocket. Every detail matters. If I show up looking like a CFO, this test is over before it starts. The front yard hasn't changed. Same cracked walkway. Same crooked mailbox Gerald swore he'd fixed 6 years ago. Brenda's car is in the driveway, a white Nissan with a dented bumper. My parents' Buick sits beside it, paint peeling along the hood. I'm 3 steps from the porch when I hear it, my mother's voice floating through the screen door. If Felicia's coming, she'd better have her checkbook. Gerald's behind on the mortgage again. Mrs. Patterson's voice follows. Oh, Donna, how far behind? 5 months, don't tell anyone. I stop. The suitcase handle bites into my palm. 5 months. Nobody told me. I swallow it. Press the doorbell. The screen door swings open. My mother stands in the frame, dish towel over one shoulder, and her eyes do that thing they always do. They scan, head to toe. She's not checking if I'm healthy. She's appraising. The smile dims when she sees the suitcase. Dims further when she doesn't see a rental car in the driveway. Where's your car, honey? I took a cab. Her lips part. Close. She steps aside to let me in. You look tired, she says, leading me to the kitchen. Come sit, I'll make coffee. She pours. settles across from me. And then, the question I've been waiting for. So, how's work? Not, how are you? Never, how are you? My father sits at the kitchen table with the Ridgemont Courier spread in front of him, reading glasses low on his nose. He doesn't look up when I walk in, doesn't stand. Just lifts one hand in a half wave like I'm the mailman. Brenda is on the living room sofa, feet tucked under her, painting her nails electric blue. She glances over, says nothing, and goes back to her topcoat. I sit down. My mother sets a mug in front of me. The house smells like lighter fluid and marinade. They've already started prepping for tomorrow's barbecue. I wait until the three of them are in earshot, then I say it. I need to tell you all something. My company went under. I lost my position. I have nothing right now. The kitchen goes still. My father lowers the newspaper. His eyes narrow. Not with concern, with calculation. My mother sets down her own mug. Slowly. 5 seconds pass. Then my father speaks first. So what about the mortgage payment next month? My mother reaches across and squeezes his arm. Gerald, and not now. Then she turns to me. Honey, how long do you think it'll be before you find something new? From the sofa, Brenda's voice cuts in. She still hasn't looked up. Called it. I always said corporate life is a house of cards. I wrap both hands around the mug. The coffee is too hot. I drink it anyway. Nobody asks if I'm scared. Nobody asks where I'll stay, how I'll eat, whether I need anything. My father worries about his payment. My mother worries about the timeline. My sister gloats. I catalog every word, every silence, every absence of the question that should have come first. My father didn't ask if I was okay. My mother timed my recovery. My sister laughed. And I sat there, steady, because I'd prepared for this moment. But I hadn't prepared for what would happen tomorrow. You know, sitting in that kitchen, and hearing my own family react to the idea that I'd lost everything, I felt something strange. I wasn't shocked. I already knew. I just needed to see it with my own eyes. If this story is touching something you've lived through, drop "I knew too" in the comments. Just those 3 words. I want to know how many of us have sat in that same kitchen. And if you want to hear what happened at the barbecue the next day, stay right where you are. Saturday morning. I come downstairs at 7:30 and the kitchen is already in full swing. My mother is stuffing deviled eggs, 2 trays of ribs are marinating on the counter, and a cooler of beer sits by the back door. No plate set for me, no coffee poured. My mother looks up, wipes her hands on her apron. A nice one, the cream-colored with her name stitched in cursive across the front, and hands me a folded piece of paper. Here's what needs doing before people start showing up. Tables, chairs, string lights, cooler outside. Brenda's getting her hair done. I unfold the list. 12 items. Move the picnic tables. Hang the lights along the fence. Sweep the patio. Set up the drink station. Brenda's getting her hair done, I repeat. She's got that appointment she made weeks ago. You know how she is. I know exactly how she is. I find an apron in the hall closet. It's old, stained with something that might have been spaghetti sauce 3 years ago, and the string is frayed. Brenda's matching one, the stitched one, hangs on a hook by the door, waiting for her return. I tie the frayed string and get to work. My father comes through at 8, show coffee in hand, and stops in the doorway to watch me drag a picnic table across the yard. You plan on sitting around here long? I just got here yesterday, Dad. Yeah. He sips his coffee. And? Inside, my mother's voice carries through the open window. She's on the phone. I catch fragments between the clink of dishes. No, she's not doing well. I don't think she can help us this time. The words land in a tone I recognize. She's not worried about me. She's disappointed in a missed payment. Brenda pulls into the driveway at 11, hair freshly blown out, nails matching the electric blue from last night. She walks past me without a word, goes inside, and comes back with a glass of sweet tea. I'm on my knees, wiping down lawn chairs. She leans against the porch railing and watches me work. So, she says, Miss CFO finally crashed. I wring out the rag. Morning to you too, Brenda. I always told Mom you were faking it. The big salary, the big city life, all smoke. Faking what, exactly? The success. She takes a long sip. You think you're better than us. You always have. But look at you now. On your knees, scrubbing Dad's lawn chairs. I stand up, fold the rag. Look at her. I never said I was better than anyone. You didn't have to. You left. That said it for you. She pushes off the railing and steps closer. There's something in her face I haven't seen before. Not just smugness, but relief. She's been waiting for this, waiting for the day I'd fall and she could point down. Maybe if you'd stayed home and actually been here for Mom and Dad instead of running off to play businesswoman, things would have been different. She pauses. For all of us. I hold her gaze. You've been here the whole time, Brenda. Rent-free. How's that worked out for them? Her jaw tightens. She turns and walks inside without another word. But that wasn't the worst of it. Brenda is the kind of person who saves her best ammunition for an audience. And in about 2 hours, she'd have 20 guests, a backyard full of folding chairs, and all the stage she needed. What she said next, in front of every single one of them, is something I will never unhear. By 1 o'clock, the backyard is full. Mrs. Patterson arrives first. White capris, wide brim hat, a Tupperware of coleslaw nobody asked for. She hugs me like I'm something fragile, then parks herself in the chair closest to the kitchen window where she can hear everything. The Hendersons come next, Bill and Teresa. Bill used to work with my father at Henson. He's in banking now. Gerald's been circling him for months, Aunt Claire told me, trying to get mortgage help. Then the rest, old colleagues, church friends, a couple I don't recognize. 15, maybe 20 people, paper plates and Bud Light, country music from a portable speaker. And the moment the crowd thickens, my mother transforms. Baby girl! She throws her arms around me in full view of Mrs. Patterson. I'm so glad you came home. She tucks a strand of hair behind my ear and turns to the neighbor. Both my girls under one roof again. We're so blessed. I smile. I play my part, but I'm recording every detail. 30 minutes ago, she handed me a chore list and didn't pour me coffee. Now, with an audience, I'm baby girl. My father finds me near the grill and pulls me aside. His hand is on my shoulder, the first time he's touched me this visit. Tell Mr. Henderson about your job in Charlotte. Actually, Dad, He cuts me off before I can finish. Turns to Bill Henderson, who's walking up with a beer. She's taking a little break, Gerald says, clapping my back. Recharging. You know how these corporate types are. He's lying. He knows I said I'm unemployed. But he'd rather fabricate a vacation than admit his daughter is struggling. He's not embarrassed for me. He's embarrassed of me. There's a difference. Halfway through the afternoon, the cooler runs low on ice. I volunteer to grab a bag from the chest freezer inside. Partly to be helpful, partly because my face needs a break from smiling. I cut through the hallway toward the utility room, past my father's office. The door is ajar. And I wouldn't have looked, except I see my name. There, on the corner of his desk, an opened envelope. The return address is Capital One. The name on the statement, Felicia A. Ingram. I push the door open, pick it up. It's a credit card account. Balance, $6,200. Credit limit, $8,000. Billing address, 412 Maple Street, Ridgemont, Ohio. My parents' house. I have never opened this account. I've never seen this card. I flip to the transaction history. Gas stations, Walmart, a nail salon on East Main, Brenda's salon, a furniture store in Columbus. Monthly minimum payments, sometimes skipped. My hands are steady. I make them steady. I photograph every page with my phone, front and back. I place the statement exactly where I found it. Same angle, same corner, same crease. Then I walk to the utility room, grab the ice, and carry it outside with both arms. My father is flipping burgers. My mother is laughing with Teresa Henderson. Brenda is showing someone pictures on her phone. They look like any other family on any other Saturday. $6,200. It isn't the largest number in this story, not even close. But it's the one that rewrites every chapter before it. Because it proves something I'd only suspected. My family didn't just treat me like a financial tool, they turned me into one, literally, on paper, without asking, without telling, without a single moment of hesitation. And I'm standing in their backyard, holding a bag of ice, smiling. I settle into a lawn chair near the fence, paper plate balanced on my knee, and Mrs. Patterson materializes beside me like she's got radar for open seats. Felicia, honey, you look thin. Are you eating enough up there in Charlotte? I'm fine, Mrs. Patterson, just busy. She nods, but she's not here to talk about my diet. Mrs. Patterson has run the unofficial information desk of Maple Street for 30 years, and she's got the look. Head tilted, voice dropped, eyes doing that sympathy scan she reserves for the juicy stuff. I have to tell you, she says, leaning in. Your daddy nearly lost this house last spring. I keep my expression neutral. What do you mean? 5 months behind on the mortgage. 5. The bank sent people out here and everything. Your mama was crying about it at church. Pastor Davis almost took up a collection. I had no idea. Well, they got extra time somehow, but I thought sure you knew. I said to Bill Patterson. Surely Felicia knows. Your mama tells everyone how well you're doing. I eat a forkful of potato salad that tastes like sawdust. 5 months behind. While I was wiring 500 every month, they were still sinking, which means either the expenses were worse than I thought, or the money I sent was going somewhere other than the mortgage. I think about the credit card with my name on it. I think about Brenda's new nails and blowout. I think about the gas station charges on a card I never opened. Mrs. Patterson pats my arm. I pray for your folks every Sunday, honey. That mortgage situation nearly broke your mama. I nod, smile, thank her. Inside my chest, pieces are clicking together. And for the first time this weekend, I'm not just observing. I'm calculating. The barbecue winds down around 8. But the backyard empties slowly. Goodbye hugs, Tupperware exchanges, Gerald shaking hands at the gate like he's running for office. My mother collects plates. I wash dishes. Brenda goes to bed at 7:30. By 9, the house is dark except for the kitchen light. I walk upstairs to what used to be my bedroom. It isn't anymore. The twin bed I slept in for 18 years is gone. In its place, 2 tall shelving units stuffed with Brenda's overflow, bins of clothes, old salon equipment, stacked shoeboxes. A folding cot has been set up in the corner with a flat pillow and a quilt that smells like the garage. They didn't even pretend. I sit on the cot and call Marcus Webb. Marcus and I were in the same statistics class at Ohio State. He went into real estate law, built a small firm in Charlotte, and he's the most level-headed person I know. Yay, which is why I call him first. I need to understand something, I say. If someone's 5 months behind on a mortgage, what happens to that note? He doesn't ask why. That's what I like about Marcus. Lender can sell it, secondary market. If they want to cut losses, a performing or non-performing note can go at a discount. Buyer becomes the new note holder with all legal rights. Can anyone buy it? Anyone with the capital and a good attorney. I close my eyes. Marcus, I just found out my parents opened a credit card in my name. $6,000 in charges I've never seen. Silence. Then. That's identity fraud, Felicia. I know, but I don't want to press charges. I want leverage. A long pause. What are you thinking? I'm thinking I'll call you Monday. Get some sleep. I lie back on the cot, Brenda's shelves on both sides of me, and I stare at the ceiling. I don't sleep. Not because I'm angry, because for the first time in my life, I have a plan, and it terrifies me. Sunday, day 2. Gerald is up before dawn. I hear him on the phone at 6 a.m. Low voice, formal tone. He's talking to Bill Henderson. I catch scraps from the hallway. Appreciate you coming by again. Just wanted a chance to talk properly about the refinance. So that's why the barbecue is 2 days. This isn't a celebration. It's a pitch meeting disguised as a party. Gerald needs Henderson's banking connections, and he's wrapping the ask in burgers and beer. By noon, the yard is full again. Same crowd plus a few new faces. A couple from Gerald's old bowling league. As a woman named Darlene who keeps calling me the city girl. I'm assigned to grill duty this time. My mother hands me a spatula and a stained apron, the same frayed one from yesterday. Brenda's inside making the punch, she says. Brenda's making punch? Don't start, Felicia. I man the grill for 2 hours. Flip burgers, rotate dogs, brush sauce on ribs. The charcoal smoke stings my eyes and clings to my hair. I plate food for 20 people who don't know my name or think I'm the one who moved away. Across the yard, Brenda sits in a folding chair, cocktail in hand, regaling Darlene with a story about a client at the salon. Her laugh carries over the music. She hasn't touched a spatula, a plate, or a trash bag all weekend. At some point, Bill Henderson walks over to the grill. "So you're the one in finance, right?" He shakes my hand. Your dad talks about you." I blink. "He does?" "Sure. Says you've got a real head for numbers." The irony is so thick I could plate it and serve it with potato salad. My father brags about me to people who might be useful to him, and dismisses me to my face. It happens near the cooler, away from the main crowd. My father walks up while I'm refilling the ice bin. He's got that look, the one where his jaw is set and his eyes avoid mine. It means he needs something and hates that he needs it. "Listen," he says, keeping his voice low. "I need you to talk to Henderson about the mortgage situation. You know finance. He'll listen to you." "Dad, I just told you I lost my job." He waves his hand like I said it's cloudy outside. "I don't care about that right now. I need you to fix this." I let the sentence hang. I need you to fix this. It's not help. Fix. Like I'm a tool he reaches for when the plumbing breaks. Useful, not loved. I'm not in a position to help with that right now. His face changes. The mask of politeness drops and something older shows through, something cold and permanent. "You were never in a position to do anything for this family when it mattered." The words hit my chest like a fist. "I've sent money home every month for 10 years, Dad. Every single month." He stares at me, then past me, then he walks away. A few guests nearby, the bowling couple, Darlene, glance over. They heard something. Not everything, but enough. Enough to see Gerald walk away from his younger daughter like she's a stranger asking for directions. I stand by the cooler, ice scoop in my hand, smoke from the grill drifting across the yard. 20 people are eating food I cooked, sitting at tables I set up, drinking from a cooler I filled. My father just told me I've never mattered, and he said it on a day I served his guests from dawn. My hand is shaking. I set the scoop down carefully. I won't let anyone see it shake. 20 minutes later. I'm clearing plates from a folding table near the fence when my father reappears. He's had 2 more beers. His posture is looser, but his eyes are harder. He doesn't pull me aside this time. He stops right there, 6 feet from the Hendersons, 8 feet from Mrs. Patterson, and says it loud enough for the radius to hear. "You were never really part of this family, Felicia. You left. Brenda stayed. That's the difference." The yard doesn't go silent. That only happens in movies. In real life. And it happens in patches. The people closest to us freeze while the ones near the speaker keep laughing, unaware. Mrs. Patterson's hand stops halfway to her coleslaw. Bill Henderson sets his beer down. Teresa Henderson looks at her shoes. I don't move. I hold the stack of paper plates against my chest and look at my father. Really look at him. The stubble he didn't bother shaving. The polo shirt with the fraying collar. The man who raised me like a cost center and is now, in front of his neighbors, reclassifying me as a write-off. My mother rushes out from the kitchen. "Gerald, not here!" But she doesn't say, "That's not true." She doesn't say, "She is part of this family." She says, "Not here," because the problem isn't the content. It's the location. I walk past both of them without a word. Into the house, down the hall, into the bathroom. As I close the door, I set the plates on the counter. I look in the mirror. My eyes are dry. My jaw is tight. My pulse is hammering somewhere behind my ears. I run the faucet, splash cold water on my face, stand there for 60 seconds, watching the water swirl down the drain. Then I dry my hands and walk back out. I don't make it back to the yard. Brenda is waiting in the kitchen, leaning against the counter, arms crossed. She's smiling. That specific smile, the one that shows too many teeth and means she's about to enjoy something at my expense. "See," she says. "Dad finally said what we all think." "Brenda, stop. You should go back to Charlotte." She tilts her head. "Oh, wait. You don't have a job to go back to." "I'm asking you to stop." "No." She steps closer. "You stop. Stop pretending you belong here. You're the one who left. Felicia, you don't get to come crawling back when life finally catches up." I say nothing. She waits for a response, doesn't get one, and decides the kitchen isn't a big enough stage. She turns and walks out the back door. I follow as far as the screen and watch through the mesh. Brenda crosses the yard to where the main cluster of guests is gathered. The Hendersons, Mrs. Patterson, Darlene, Gerald's bowling friends. She picks up her cocktail, takes a sip, and speaks at a volume designed to carry. Don't feel bad for her. She always thought she was too good for Ridgemont. Karma's just doing its job. A few people laugh. Short, uncomfortable laughs, the kind people use when they don't know what else to do. Darlene raises her glass. The bowling couple exchange a glance. Mrs. Patterson doesn't laugh. She shakes her head slowly, but folds her napkin and sets it on the table. Bill Henderson looks at his wife. Teresa mouths something I can't read. I stand behind the screen door. Smoke from the grill curls across the yard. The speaker plays a song about summertime. Brenda thinks she just won. Everyone out there thinks I'm finished. But there's something none of them know. Not my parents, not my sister, not a single person in that yard. And it's sitting in my phone, ready. Sunday night. The house is quiet. The last guest left 2 hours ago. I sit on the cot in what used to be my bedroom, door locked, Brenda's shelves pressing in on both sides. The quilt smells like mothballs and I don't care. I dial Aunt Claire. She picks up on the first ring. Like she's been waiting. I tell her everything. The mortgage I overheard, the credit card in my name, and Gerald's words by the fence. Brenda's performance for the crowd. Claire listens without interrupting. When I finish, there's a long, careful silence. You gave them every chance, sweetheart. Every single one. You don't owe them another. I close my eyes. I needed to hear that. I know you did. We hang up. I dial Marcus. Start the process, I say. Find out who holds the note on 412 Maple Street, Ridgemont, Ohio. I want to buy it. This is a big move, Felicia. You sure? They opened a credit card in my name without telling me. They called me worthless in front of 20 people. My father said I was never part of this family. I pause. Yes, Marcus, I'm sure. I'll have information by Wednesday. After I hang up, I lie back and stare at the ceiling. A water stain spreads across the plaster in the shape of something I can't name. On the shelf above my head, Brenda's shoeboxes are stacked 4 high. One of them has my old yearbook behind it. I can see the spine. They converted my room into her storage. They converted my name into their credit line. They converted my loyalty into a recurring payment. I lie there. I don't feel guilt. I don't feel rage. I feel clear. For the first time in 14 years, perfectly, absolutely clear. I know a lot of you are thinking, what is she about to do? If you've already guessed, drop your prediction in the comments. I'd love to know if you saw this coming. And if you're still watching at this point, it means this story got its hooks in you. Please hit that like button, because that's how more people get to hear it. Now let me tell you the part nobody in my family saw coming. 3 weeks later, Charlotte, North Carolina. And I'm at my desk on the 14th floor of Aldrich Capital Partners. The city spreads out below me through floor-to-ceiling windows, the skyline I built my life around, while my family pretended I didn't exist. My title is still on the door. Felicia Ingram, Chief Financial Officer. My name is still on the payroll at $200,000 a month. The company didn't fold. I didn't lose anything, except the illusion that I had a family. Marcus calls at 11:15. Found the note holder, he says. Small regional fund, Lakeshore Capital Group. They've been trying to offload non-performing notes for 6 months. Your parents' mortgage is in the pile. What's the price? $95,000, give or take. That's a 40% discount on the remaining balance. $95,000. Less than half what I earn in a single month. Less than half what I've sent to that house over the past decade. The number feels surgical, precise, clean. Do it, I say. Felicia, I want to make sure you understand what this means. You'll be the legal note holder. You'll have every right any lender has, including the right to initiate foreclosure proceedings if payments remain delinquent. I understand. The wire goes out that afternoon. By end of business Thursday, Marcus confirms. The note on 412 Maple Street has been transferred. I am now the legal creditor on my parents' home. I sit in my office after everyone else has left. The city lights below look like a circuit board. I don't feel victorious. I don't feel vengeful. I feel like a woman who just bought the door to a house she was told she was never part of. I instruct Marcus to prepare one more document, a demand letter regarding the $6,200 credit card opened in my name. But we don't send it. Not yet. It sits in his drawer, a safety latch I hope I never need to pull. Then I have him draft the notice of assignment and mail it to Gerald Ingram, registered delivery. A week passes. Tuesday, 8:47 p.m. My phone buzzes on the nightstand. The screen reads Dad. I stare at it for 3 full rings. My father has called me exactly twice in the past 2 years. Both times because my mother told him to. He doesn't call. He waits to be called. I pick up. Felicia, what the hell is this letter? His voice is different, higher. The authority is gone and something raw has taken its place. Which letter, Dad? Don't play games with me. It says the mortgage was sold. Shared to some company called Paper Crinkles. Maple Holdings, LLC. That's my company, Dad. Dead air. 6 seconds. 8. I count. What? I bought your mortgage. I'm your lender now. I hear him breathing. Heavy. Then something in the background. My mother's voice, sharp and rising. Gerald, what's happening? Gerald! You can't do this, he says. I can. And I did. I keep my voice level. Not cold, not warm, level. Just like you can open a credit card in my name without telling me. Just like you can let Brenda charge $6,000 to my credit and never mention it. That was, Donna handled that, I didn't. You're on the account, Dad. Both of you are. More silence. I hear a chair scrape against linoleum. He sat down. Felicia, his voice cracks, just barely. What do you want? I want you to listen to me. Yet for the first time in 32 years, I want you to actually listen to me. Can you do that? Nothing but breathing. I'll be in Ridgemont on Saturday, I say. We'll talk then. All 4 of us. My attorney will be with me. I hang up before he can respond. The apartment is quiet. I set the phone face down on the nightstand and close my eyes. Saturday morning, 412 Maple Street. This time I drive myself. A black sedan, pressed suit, heels. Marcus rides beside me in the passenger seat, briefcase on his lap. I park where the taxi dropped me 3 weeks ago. Same cracked walkway, same crooked mailbox. But nothing else is the same. The front door opens before I reach the porch. Gerald stands in the frame, looking smaller than I remember. Behind him, Donna sits at the kitchen table, hands knotted in her lap. Brenda leans against the far wall. Bess arms crossed, face tight. Nobody speaks. I step inside. Marcus follows. I don't sit. 3 weeks ago, I say. I stood in this kitchen and told you I'd lost everything. Dad, your first question was about the mortgage payment. Mom, you asked how long until I'd be earning again. Brenda, you told 20 people that karma was coming for me. I look at each of them in turn. I didn't lose my job. My company didn't fold. I earn $200,000 a month. I'm the chief financial officer of a private equity firm. And as of last Thursday, I hold the note on this house. Donna's face collapses. Her hands fly to her mouth. Gerald's complexion shifts from pale to red to something I don't have a name for. Brenda pushes off the wall. You lied to us? Yes. Act the same way you've been lying to me my entire life. That's different. Is it? I take one step forward. I came home to find out if you'd love me without my money. You answered that question in under 60 seconds. The kitchen clock ticks. The refrigerator hums. Nobody moves. Marcus sets the briefcase on the table and opens it. Here's what happens next, I say. Marcus spreads 3 documents on the table. His movements are calm, practiced. He's done this 100 times, just never in a family kitchen. First, I say, the credit card opened in my name, balance of $6,200. You have 90 days to repay it in full. Gerald opens his mouth. Marcus speaks first. We have the statements, Mr. Ingram. The account was opened using Felicia's social security number, with this address as the billing location. This is, technically, identity fraud. Felicia has chosen not to pursue criminal charges. Donna whispers something I can't hear. Gerald stares at the table. Second, I continue. The mortgage. You're 5 months delinquent. I now hold the note. If you want to keep this house, you'll sign a restructured payment agreement. Monthly payments go through Marcus's office. The terms are more generous than any bank would offer. If you miss 3 consecutive payments, foreclosure proceedings begin automatically. This is blackmail, Gerald says, but his voice has no teeth. No, sir, Marcus says. This is a standard loan restructuring. I can walk you through the terms line by line if you'd like. Brenda pushes herself upright. You're going to throw your own family out on the street? I turn to her. Oi, Brenda, you've been living in that back house rent-free for 12 years. You haven't contributed a single dollar to the mortgage, the utilities, or the taxes. If anyone in this room should be concerned about where they'll live, it's you. She goes silent. Actually silent. First time in my life. I look at my parents. My father's hands are flat on the table. My mother's eyes are red and wet. I'm not here to punish you, I say. I'm here to end an arrangement that should have never existed. Marcus slides the agreement across the table with a pen. My mother stands up. The chair scrapes hard against the floor. After everything I've sacrificed for you. Her voice shakes, climbing toward that pitch I've heard 1,000 times, the one that means she's about to rewrite history. I gave you life, Felicia. I stayed up nights when you were sick. I worked double shifts so you could eat. Mom, I don't doubt you did those things. Then how can you sit here and treat us like strangers? Because doing the basic duties of a parent doesn't give you the right to exploit your child financially for a decade. She flinches, changes direction. Claire put you up to this, didn't she? Your aunt has always been jealous of our family. She never had children of her own, so she poisons mine. Nobody put me up to anything. You did. I hold her gaze. Every phone call that started with a bill amount instead of, "How are you?" Every holiday I wasn't invited to unless you needed something. Every dollar that went to Brenda's nails instead of the electric bill you told me was overdue. Donna sits back down. The tears come harder now. Brenda hands her a tissue but doesn't say anything. Gerald hasn't spoken in 3 minutes. He stares at the documents on the table, jaw working, and finally says the only thing he has left. So that's it? You're done with us? I wait. Let the question breathe. I'm done with the arrangement, Dad. I'm not done being your daughter, if you ever want me to be one. His eyes meet mine. Something flickers there. I don't know if it's remorse or shock or just exhaustion, but it's something new, something I haven't seen before. The terms are in writing, Marcus says quietly. Take the week to read them. My number is on the last page. I pick up my purse. I walk through the kitchen for the last time this trip. Past the counter where my mother handed me a chore list without pouring me coffee. I'd past the living room sofa where Brenda sat painting her nails while I hauled furniture. Past the hallway where my bedroom used to be before they filled it with her shoeboxes. Marcus is already at the door, briefcase in hand. I follow him, and nobody follows me. On the front porch, I pause. The air smells like cut grass and leftover charcoal. The crooked mailbox casts a thin shadow across the walkway. Across the street, Mrs. Patterson is watering her hydrangeas. She looks up. I give her a small nod. She nods back. I think she already knows something changed here today, and by tomorrow, the whole street will. Marcus opens the car door for me. I slide in. He walks around to the driver's side, and we pull away from the curb. I don't look back. I watch the rearview mirror instead. 412 Maple Street shrinks behind us. The sagging porch. At the cracked walkway, the crooked mailbox Gerald will never fix. It gets smaller and smaller until we turn onto Route 6, and it disappears completely. I don't cry. Not because I'm strong. Because I already cried. Years ago, in a dorm room at Ohio State. The night I realized nobody was coming to my freshman orientation. I used up those tears a long time ago. Marcus drives in silence for 20 minutes before he says, "You did the right thing." I know. You also gave them better terms than they deserve. I know that too. The highway opens up ahead of us, clean and straight and leading south. I left Ridgemont that afternoon. But the story doesn't end here. 1 month later, Aunt Claire calls me on a Thursday evening. She's got that voice, half amused, a half sad. The one she uses when the Ingram family drama has officially made it to the church parking lot. Well, sweetheart, she says, you're the talk of Ridgemont. Mrs. Patterson, predictably, was the ignition switch. Within a week of my visit, the story had spread through the First Methodist Women's Circle, the grocery store checkout line, and at least 2 separate book clubs. The version making the rounds, Claire tells me, goes like this. Gerald and Donna treated Felicia like an ATM for years. Felicia came home pretending to be broke. They kicked her to the curb. She came back and bought their mortgage. They're getting looks, Claire says. Not pity looks. More like, oh, so that's who you really are looks. Gerald has stopped going to the Saturday morning coffee group at the diner. Donna hasn't been to Women's Circle in 3 weeks. And Brenda is taking the hardest hit. Because she's the one who stood in front of that barbecue crowd and laughed, and those same people now know the truth. Darlene stopped returning her calls. The bowling couple crosses the street when they see her at the hardware store. But the part that surprises me most, Bill Henderson. A week after my visit, he called Gerald to withdraw his offer to help with refinancing. Sorry, Gerald, Claire recounts. He said, I don't feel comfortable getting involved anymore. I sit on my balcony in Charlotte, phone to my ear, watching the sun drop behind the skyline. How do you feel? Claire asks. I think about it honestly. I don't feel happy, but I don't feel guilty either. Is that okay? Honey, that's the healthiest thing I've ever heard you say. 6 weeks in, a Thursday night, 9:20. My phone lights up with a name I haven't seen since Ridgemont. Brenda. I answer, because I told myself I would. Once. Felicia. Her voice is different. Softer. The edges filed down. I've been thinking a lot. About the barbecue. About what I said. I was terrible to you, and I'm so sorry. Can we start over? I let the silence sit for 3 seconds. Then, I appreciate you saying that, Brenda. What specifically are you sorry for? Pause. A long one. Just the whole thing. I was stressed. Mom and Dad put so much pressure on me too, you know? Being the one who stayed, it's not easy either. There it is, the pivot, the redirect. She's not apologizing for what she did. She's explaining why it wasn't really her fault. Brenda, you told 20 people that karma was punishing me. You told me I was faking my career. You said I don't belong in my own family. Which one of those was the stress talking? More silence. I mean, all of it, I guess. I didn't mean any of it. You meant every word. You've been saying versions of it for 20 years. The only difference is you finally had an audience. She starts crying. Or starts performing crying. I can't tell, and that inability to tell is the whole problem. So you're just going to cut me off? She says. I'm not cutting you off. I'm telling you what a real apology sounds like. When you can tell me exactly what you did wrong without blaming Mom, Dad, stress, or anyone else, I'll listen. She hangs up. An apology that blames someone else isn't an apology, it's a redirect. And I've been following Brenda's redirects for 32 years. This was the last one, 2 months after Ridgemont. A Tuesday morning. Marcus forwards me a payment notification. $1,247 from Gerald D. Ingram. Mortgage payment. On time. First time in over a year. I read the confirmation twice. Aunt Claire fills in the gaps. Gerald took a part-time job at Thompson's Auto Parts, the same shop he used to buy supplies from when he worked at Henson. $12 an hour, 25 hours a week. He wakes up at 5:30 and walks there because they're down to 1 car. My mother started selling baked goods and canned preserves through an online group run by the church. $50, $60 a week. Not much, but it's hers. They're paying, together, for the first time. 3 days after the payment clears, a text arrives. From Gerald. Oh, payment sent. On time. 4 words. No, I love you. No, I'm sorry. No, how are you doing? Just a transaction confirmation from a man who's only ever spoken in transactions. I look at the message for a long time. I don't respond. But I don't delete it either. I move it to a folder I've labeled Maybe. Claire calls that weekend. Don't expect miracles, sweetheart, but don't close the door either. Just keep the deadbolt on. I will. One more thing, she adds. Your father told Brenda she needs to start paying rent on the back house, 300 a month, starting next month. I set down my coffee. He did what? You heard me. 12 years of free rent, and he finally asked. Brenda threw a fit. Donna tried to intervene. Gerald held firm. First time for everything, maybe the last time too. I don't know yet. But the deadbolt stays on, and the door stays closed. And behind it, something might be shifting. November. Charlotte. For the first time in 8 years, when someone at the office asks, plans for Thanksgiving? I don't lie. I'm spending it with a friend, I say. And it's true. Marcus and his wife Janine invite me over. Their house in Ballantyne smells like roasted turkey and cinnamon. Their daughter, Lily, 3 years old, hands me a crayon drawing of a purple dog and says, "This is for you, because you look sad." I'm not sad. But I tape the purple dog to my refrigerator when I get home, and I leave it there. In December, I close on a 2-bedroom condo in South End. Hardwood floors, tall windows, a balcony facing the skyline. But the down payment is exactly what I would have saved if I hadn't wired $184,600 to a house that erased my bedroom. The first night in the new place, I sit on the couch, my couch in my home, bought with my money, and I eat takeout pad thai and drink a glass of wine and listen to the city hum below me. It's quiet. It's mine. And for the first time, being alone doesn't feel like being abandoned. It feels like breathing. My phone buzzes. A text from Donna. Thinking of you, baby. 4 words. No dollar amount attached, no bill mentioned, no request disguised as affection. Just 4 words. I stare at the screen. The cursor blinks. I think about typing something back. I think about a lot of things. About coffee she didn't pour, about aprons with someone else's name stitched on them, about a bedroom that became a closet. I set the phone down. And I don't reply. But I don't delete it. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe next month. On my terms. I take another sip of wine and watch the city lights flicker. I don't tell you this story so you'll think I'm tough. I'm not. I spent 14 years sending money to people who never asked how I was doing, and I told myself it was love. Tough people don't do that. Hopeful people do. I tell you this because I need you to know something. You are allowed to love someone and still refuse to let them hurt you. Those two things don't cancel each other out. For most of my life, I thought setting a boundary meant ending a relationship. I thought saying no to my parents meant I was ungrateful. I thought walking away meant I was the problem. It took a barbecue, a credit card I never opened, and my father telling me I was never part of the family, in front of 20 witnesses, to understand the truth. A boundary isn't a wall. It's a door with a lock. You decide who gets a key, and more importantly, you decide who has to knock first. I didn't buy my parents' mortgage to hurt them. I bought it because it was the only language my family ever understood. Money. You can't change the rules of a game, but you can decide which side of the table you sit on. Do I hate them? No. I hate the version of myself who accepted the way they treated me for so long. The one who kept wiring money hoping that the next $500 would be the one that finally made them see me. That version of me is gone. The one standing here, on her own balcony in her own city, by drinking her own coffee at 7 in the morning. She doesn't need anyone's permission to exist. And neither do you. 6 months after Ridgemont. Here's where things stand. My father has made every mortgage payment on time. 6 for 6. Marcus confirms each one. Same amount, same date, never late. Gerald sends a text after every payment. 4 words, no variation. Payment sent, on time. He hasn't called. He hasn't apologized. But he hasn't missed. And maybe, for a man who spent 61 years speaking only in transactions, that's the closest thing to "I'm trying" he knows how to say. My mother texts every Sunday morning, short messages. Beautiful day here, or made your grandmother's peach cobbler, or just love you. No requests, no bills, no guilt. I haven't responded to any of them yet, but I read every one. So Brenda is a different story. She hasn't contacted me since the phone call. Claire says she's paying the $300 a month in rent to Gerald, grudgingly, loudly, with a running commentary about how unfair everything is. But she's paying. She and I may never talk again. Or we might, years from now, in some unrecognizable version of the future. I've stopped trying to predict it. Last weekend, Aunt Claire flew to Charlotte and we had dinner at a place with cloth napkins and a wine list. We laughed more in 2 hours than I've laughed in the past 2 years. At the end of the night, walking to her hotel, she stopped and grabbed my hand. "I'm proud of you," she said. "Not because you won, because you stopped playing a game that was rigged from the start." I don't know where this goes. I don't know if forgiveness lives at the end of this road or if the road just leads to a quiet place where I'm okay either way. But for the first time, I'm not afraid to find out. If you're in a family where you only have value when you can give, let me tell you something that took me 32 years to learn. That's not love. That's a transaction. And you don't owe compound interest on being born. You don't need to buy a mortgage to set a boundary. You don't need a law degree or a six-figure salary or a dramatic reveal at a barbecue. You just need one sentence. I deserve to be loved without conditions. Try saying it out loud right now, wherever you are, on the bus, in bed, on a lunch break, in a parked car. Say it once. It feels strange the first time, like wearing a coat that's one size too big, but you'll grow into it. I grew into it. My name is Felicia Ingram. I'm 32 years old. I'm the CFO of a firm that manages more money than my hometown's entire annual budget. And the most valuable thing I own isn't the mortgage note or the condo or the corner office. It's the ability to sit alone on my balcony on a Tuesday morning, drinking coffee I made for myself, looking at a skyline I earned, and feel no guilt, no debt, no obligation to pick up a ringing phone just because the caller shares my last name. My phone buzzes. I look down. "Dad?" I look at it for a while. Take another sip of coffee. The steam curls up and fades into the morning air. Maybe I'll answer tomorrow. Maybe next week. When I'm ready. But today is mine. Thank you for staying until the end of this story. It means more than you know. Then if you've ever set a boundary with someone you love, type "my turn now" in the comments. And if you're still working up the courage, type "not yet, but soon." I read every single one. If this story hit home, please like, subscribe, and check the description for more stories like this one. Every story on this channel carries the same message. You deserve to be loved the right way. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself first.